The Han Dynasty, podcast by Kelly Fan 5th period. The Han Dynasty was an era in China marked by great prosperity and expansion that lasted for over 400 years from 206 BC to 220 CE. After the fall of the Qin Dynasty, a peasant man named Liu Bang rose to establish and become emperor of the Han. At first, China was under a decentralized government that incorporated parts from both the Zhou and Qin Dynasty. Because of the many flaws in each government, Liu Bang devised a new structure that considered the advantages of each government to control his empire. He first gave large land holdings to members of the imperial family and then divided his empire into administrative districts governed by officials. By giving land to members of the imperial family, he expected they would provide a reliable network of support for him, and by dividing his empire into districts, he expected to implement his rules and control effectively through his officials who served to please him. Later on, when the imperial family and his officials failed to show support during an invasion, Liu Bang reverted to the Qin model of centralized control. From then on, centralized control was the preferred method of governing. One of the most prominent leaders of the Han Dynasty was Han Wudi, also known as the Martial Emperor, who ruled for 54 years from 141 BC to 87 BC. Han Wudi built a massive bureaucracy governed by legalist principles. Since the empire was so big, Han Wudi relied on the use of spies and thousands of educated people to run his bureaucracy. Because he needed intelligent individuals, Han Wudi established a university based on Confucianism to prepare men for government service. Confucian values were not only used for educational purposes, it was also used in social order. The Han recognized the importance of patriarchal families as the foundation of a stable society and emphasized women's subordination to their men and filial piety, a virtue of respect children had for elders and ancestors. To get back to the point, Han Wudi also built roads and canals to enable communication and trade, and levied taxes on trade, agriculture, and craft industries. For instance, elaborate trade routes were established like the Silk Roads. Furthermore, the development of silk production became an important industry and later a valued product to trade to places like India and Persia. Another development was in writing material. Han craftsmen invented paper that was a less expensive replacement for silk and bamboo. In addition, the development of iron metallurgy considerably improved the economy. New iron products were made like axes, hammers, and saws that enhanced agricultural productivity. The military also had benefits from the new iron industry. Weapons such as swords were improved upon, and soldiers were even provided with armor suits. While Han Wudi improved his centralized bureaucracy, he sought to expand his empire. With that in mind, he seized control of northern Vietnam and Korea. Han Wudi even defeated the Xiongnu Empire that was located in Central Asia. Who were the Xiongnu, you may ask? Well, the Xiongnu were the most menacing foreign threat the Han had ever faced because they had an intimidating, disciplined army and reckless behavior. They were often known for raiding villages whenever they needed or desired something that they could not acquire through trade. The Han tried to maintain peaceful terms with them by offering goods and arranging marriages between ruling houses, but neither method worked for long, which led the Han to take control over the Xiongnu. Overall, the Han Dynasty further expanded in size and population. As Han Wudi continued to rule, problems arose from his expensive military expeditions and establishment of agricultural colonies that caused a drain in the empire's wealth. To finance for his doings, Han Wudi raised taxes and seized land and personal property from wealthy people, and as a result, weakened the economy. Besides economic difficulties, social differences became clearer. The wealthy received all the good things that were available, like pork and silk garments. They even owed large amounts of land that many peasants worked on. On the other hand, poor individuals struggled to earn good meals and money because things like high taxes and debts crushed small landowners till they were nothing but cheap labor for owners of large estates. From the social differences between the wealthy and poor classes, peasants often formed rebellions against the Han in anticipation of receiving the same possessions the wealthy received. In the end, all attempts at gaining equality were ignored by Han leaders. As Han rule shifted from Han Wudi to Wang Mang, many reforms were generated that made him known as the Socialist Emperor. Most of the reforms concerned land property. He broke up large estates, limited land ownership, and redistributed them to provide landless people with property to cultivate. As a result, many revolts and confusion occurred, and later poor harvests and famine struck the empire. In a fit of rage, a group of landlords and peasants executed him and ended the dynasty. 2 years later, the later Han Dynasty emerged with the same government as before. However, emperors never fixed the land distribution problem that destroyed the early Han Dynasty. This led to the development of rebellions such as the Yellow Turban Uprising, which drastically weakened the Han. The Yellow Turban Uprising was a serious revolt where rebels wore yellow distinctive headgears that raged through China and tested the silence of the Han Dynasty. The dynasty then had problems within the imperial administration because competing factions of bureaucrats, eunuchs, and imperial family members all tried to increase their power. In the end, the Han Dynasty collapsed due to internal difficulties that they couldn't solve. The region was then divided into several large regional kingdoms. Although it crumpled into ruins by its own complications, the Han Dynasty was the most memorable with its long-lasting reign.